Patient.
Yeah. I like when we make them wait. Makes me feel powerful.
Oh, yes. You just have all the power in your hands.
Yeah. Really fuels my ego. And I need something to fuel it because football's not doing it for me.
Yeah, it's not doing it.
I've got some hot takes about Christian worship music coming up today too, Tom. Get ready to be offended.
We here.
What's that?
You in the right direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna, and this is GPS. Yeah, I just talked for 40 straight minutes because I just got predictions done. So I was like, why is my... Bless you!
40 minutes? Gotcha.
Yeah, so like my voice is that, and I was like, oh yeah. So I'm going to run and grab water at some point during this when you go on one of your tirades about something. I'm just letting you know.
What should I tirade about today
I'm sure
besides Christian worship music?
I'm sure it's going to be, hey, are you just as upset that REO Speedwagon's no longer touring after 2024?
Yo, I was never a huge REO guy, but I respect him. And I do wish they were still touring. REO Speedwagon. I'm not that old.
Yes, sir.
They were old. That was an older band for me. Okay.
Hey, listen. Gotta earn it. Gotta earn it. That's it. Not there yet.
Oh, is that for Raiders? You a Raiders fan? Where did I put the Raiders?
Not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I want to see the offense. They had a great win. I want to see the offense. Bowers look good.
You need to see more from Gardner Minshew.
Oh, now you like Gardner Minshew again?
I always liked him. I just wasn't sold on him
helping
helping
the
Raiders.
You're flip-flopping. You're politicking all over the place. Anyway.
Yes.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good.
That's good.
Pretty good. I wanted to say congrats on the stream last night. Chaotic
Appreciate
good.
You, buddy.
Very good. Very, very nice interview. Little disappointed you didn't call him Brandon Perna or Mr. Boombastic like I requested on Twitter.
So there was a few times when I said Brandon, and I was like, not Perna. The good thing is like I almost never call you Brandon on air. It's always Perna. Yeah. So like that's how I was introduced to you.
That's how most people are, yeah.
I've just kept that for like 10 years. So that definitely hurt. Oh yeah, did Woj retire? Is that what the chat is saying right now?
That's what they were saying. Let me see.
Oh wow. Yeah, he's retiring from ESPN. He's becoming the general manager of the men's basketball program at St. Bonaventure.
St. Bonaduce?
It's kind of what I said. But okay. Wow.
Did he Woj bomb his retirement? That's all that matters.
That's pretty dope. Oh, see, that's the question. We're going to talk about a lot about football today. I have a lot of time. I just saw you went live for the Bryce Young news. When that broke, I want to definitely talk about that. We'll talk about the QB play. We'll preview Thursday Night Football. But the question that everybody's asking is this.
Wait, hold on. Mega Evolution, Z moves, Dynamaxing, or Terastallizing? Which one was the most beneficial? Fucking Pokemon, get out of here.
You made him. First of all, Perna, this is why I love you. Because you are the epitome of that old Christmas movie, right? One foot in front of the other when you're reading. Because it was like, okay, I'm taking it seriously. I didn't see Pokemon until the end. See, I saw originally, I was like Pokemon, so.
Yeah, you saw one word, like Mega Evolution. I know that's Pokemon. Since I don't watch, I'm like, what's Mega Evolution? I saw the word Pokemon. What's Z moves?
I saw the word.
I knew it was going to be something stupid halfway through. Oh.
Can you take me here? But yeah, let's start talking. I want to jump right into it about Bryce Young, because I know you have some strong thoughts about this. You went live. I didn't get a chance to talk about this just because there was a million things going on Monday. But in case you're unaware, so Bryce Young has been benched after the first 2 weeks. Andy Dalton coming in to try and win him some football games. They're going up against the Raiders this week, a tough defense, which I'm not going to lie. I'm just happy for Bryce Young that he's not going to get destroyed by Max Crosby. So there is like a silver lining here because I think that Raiders defense would have literally eaten him.
Yeah.
But
I know Raiders fans are, when I was doing the stream, Raiders fans were pissed. They're like, why couldn't we get one more week with Bryce?
Yeah,
we're not really scared of Andy, but you know.
This is a trap game? No, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I think, I know you are not feeling this move. There's a lot going about Carolina. I think even though the Giants are very bad, I think the Panthers are far and away the worst team in football. I mean, it's only week now 3, but they put up a god-awful performance week 1. They didn't do anything against the Chargers week 2. And I want to talk about the Chargers for the hottest of seconds in this phrase, because right now the Chargers, like statistically, have like the best defense. They've only allowed 2 plays in the red zone in 2 weeks. Nice. And it was against the Raiders offense, and then it was against the Panthers offense.
Yeah.
So maybe the Chargers defense is really good, but it also speaks to how bad the Panthers offense also is.
Yeah.
So I get wanting to make a change to try and like spark thing. We talk about Canales and the hiring of that and how that could be good for Bryce Young and, have a QB whisperer back there. But it just seems that even though things are going really poorly, a change at quarterback is not going to substantially change things. I think it gives them a better chance to win, but I don't even know if that is it's going to sound weird. I don't even know if that's the goal of the Panthers right now, or if it should be. It should be, hey, can we make this work with Bryce Young? And if not, then we move on from him next year. But what are your thoughts, Perna?
I think Bryce Young should be stripped of his citizenship.
Okay.
When a number 1 overall draft pick underperforms, kick him out of the country. And I think Brett Favre would agree with me if you've been following him on Twitter.
Former Vikings QB Brett Favre?
Yeah.
Okay. His alma mater? That's super dope. That's super cool.
No, I think this is ultimately going to be a good thing for Bryce.
Okay.
I think Bryce is a quarterback who, through these first 2 weeks, looks like a man who just has no confidence in himself. He's missing layups. Like that's when you can forgive a lot of things, but when you're free from pressure, you got time to throw it, and you got a guy, and you either don't see a guy or you just overthrow him. You're like, what's going on here? And I think for Bryce, it's about getting his confidence back. And I don't think that's going to happen by continuing to play right now. I think Dave Canales ultimately made a decision for the team, right? And we talk so much about like playing quarterbacks, like why you bench one guy or why you start another guy over another. And like, it's week 2. And if Canales wants to keep that locker room, he's got to have somebody out there on the field who's going to give him a chance to win. And I think the players are going to respect that without being like spiteful towards Bryce Young, right? It's like, look, he's just not ready right now. We think Andy Dalton, who's got a ton of experience, can help us win. If you continue to just play really bad football with a young quarterback, it's hard on an entire locker room. So I think that's a big reason also why Dave is doing it versus like, oh, let's incubate Bryce for a while. Let's help him get right. It's like, no, we got to fucking keep this locker room together and try and win some games so we're not just a complete mess. What I don't understand is why with a rookie quarterback, when you bring in a new coach, you have a whole new system, why they didn't play at all in the preseason. Maybe you could have worked through some of this shit in the preseason. Maybe Bryce could have built a little bit of confidence by executing your scheme and getting comfortable when the competition wasn't as good, right? We like, at the very least, Panthers fans maybe could have got excited about him like I did with Bo Nix and then be gently let down once the season starts. But I think those reps could have been valuable to Bryce. I don't think I don't know. I don't want to be like the person saying like he's done forever. It's so hard to gauge once a guy has time to reset, learn those things, and then come out and try again when you're a little more mentally prepared. And like we can't gauge that with Bryce. We don't know where he's at mentally in his head state, right? We can talk about what he does on the field, how like certain things look. And now he's getting compared to, Jamarcus Russell, right? As a all-time draft bust, maybe to a lesser extent, Josh Rosen. And I think like the big difference, and we have hindsight for this with Jamarcus Russell.
You lost to the Chargers.
The biggest difference is we know Jamarcus Russell was not trying. He wasn't putting in the effort.
Not watching tape, literally.
Right. So, and I don't think it's fair to compare Bryce to Jamarcus because we know Bryce cares a lot and we know he puts in the work. It's not happening. So these are just like some of the stats like floating around about Russell having a little bit better of a passer rating than Bryce Young, more touchdown passes or touchdowns. He had same turnovers, fewer yards per attempt. Like all the stats are bad. If you watch it, it's bad. There's no way to defend Bryce Young's play, and that's unfortunate. We haven't seen, except it's so funny. Like as the Packers fan, you saw his best work last year.
Literally,
you saw his best work. You're like, hey, maybe there's something there.
Well, I mean, a lot of it was Joe. And you see it like on the chart. It's like, oh, what was that game? And then everything else is worse.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else is worse.
So, I think it needed to happen, and I hope it helps him in the long run.
They're in the top 10. I put them at 10. It was ugly, but they undefeated still.
Seahawks are playing well.
On top of the NFC. I love their defense. Their defense.
Now they've played just the Patriots and the Broncos, Caleb. But,
correct.
Self-burn. That's a self-burn, Caleb.
Here, I think this is the nuance, right? Bryce Young got drafted into a terrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
Head coach, halfway through the season, gone, right? The situation hasn't got much better with the support around him. I like that they brought in Canales. We talked about that all offseason, right?
Yeah.
Is this, because there was that talk of like, oh, is this a David Tepper move that it's like, hey, I want to win and like, forcing Canales to do this, and because we know how involved David Tepper is. I think it's a bit of both. I think the situation is really bad in Carolina. I think Andy Dalton will probably look better than Bryce Young just because he has all these years of experience. But I don't know how great that offense is going to look just because I think they just need an injection of talent there.
Yeah, that's where the Broncos are at right now, too.
And it's also Bryce Young is not playing well, right?
No,
it's kind of like a mix of all of those things. He's missing open guys. Like he's just not seeing the field. And you got to hope that, maybe he sits and he was able to learn a little bit more. I also don't trust the Panthers to develop him, though. And I think this is also where the frustration from Panthers fans comes from. It's like, all right, let's just say, at whatever point Bryce plays again, he's just not the guy. Let's just say. If they have the number 1 overall draft pick next year and they go quarterback, does anybody trust that quarterback's going to be able to succeed more than Bryce Young? Maybe they'll have more talent. Maybe like they'll be able to do more things and hide some more of the issues. But I just don't trust the organization right now. And I think that's where I'm at.
If they're in the spot where if they and I don't even know if he'll go number 1 now because CU's been a mess. But if it's like Shedeur Sanders, and they want Shedeur Sanders, Dion's going to tell him no. He'll be like, you don't.
Dion's going to be like, absolutely not.
He's not playing here. That's how bad they are right now.
Yeah.
And the stat I saw that's like just soul crushing is Bryce Young this season being 1 of 20 on third down. Like that's tough.
That's bad, man. That's bad.
And like that's that old cliche, like quarterbacks make their money on third down.
Yeah.
Really, really good quarterbacks don't even get to third down. You're converting on second or first or whatever, you know what I mean? But I think the other problem with Bryce too is he's a smaller QB, right? And you can be a smaller QB and have success. Kyler Murray, tiny, can't even ride a roller coaster, Tom.
Yeah.
But he's super fast, and he's got an incredible arm. Incredible arm. So he's electric. He's going to make plays. Russell Wilson, shorter, but same thing. I don't know if Bryce Young is athletically gifted enough to compensate for being, an undersized QB. And it sucks like for that to become a thing and maybe a different situation, whatever kind of rectifies that. But
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have something there. And I think maybe it comes with confidence. I think there's like a highlight of him like having to jump to throw a swing pass. It's just like, oh, fuck. I see what you're complaining about. 5'10" is short as a quarterback in the NFL. Somebody's saying it in the chat. Yes. And it's because like your offensive linemen are like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
It's literally, it's kind of hard to see over those guys without maybe moving out or going really deep in the pocket. And the guys who can get away with that are the guys who are super fast.
And you have your big D linemen who are also like, that's going to cause a problem. Yes, I've seen Top Gun. I love Halfley's new scheme because we have 5 interceptions in 2 weeks, and we only had 7 all of last season. So emphasis on turning the ball over.
Top Gun, the new one was tight.
I agree with you. And I think that I think Dalton will be fine. I think that they will put up like respectable numbers. Miles Sanders hasn't really done anything for the Panthers. Like that addition hasn't done anything. Chuba Hubbard had a little bit of a better game last week. Was able to put the ball on the ground a little bit more. But yeah, they just don't have an offense, man. And their defense, which they invested so much in. And again, like it just comes down to the players that you have on the squad. Is their confidence? You're talking about replacing the quarterback to keep some kind of confidence. You saw Adam Thielen was frustrated after Sunday's game, and he's upset that he's not getting the ball and he's, they're missing open shots. But I don't know how there could be confidence when you have historically, especially these past few years, they're constantly shooting themselves in the foot. Brian Burns, how many first-round draft picks could they have gotten for him? Wound up just settling and giving them away to the Giants, right? They trade DJ Moore, who's a phenomenal player, who's going through his own struggles in Chicago right now, but give him away, right?
Chicago.
Give away all their stuff to get Bryce Young. That hasn't worked out. So I think there's so many things working against them. And again, if you don't have the confidence that the front office is making the decisions to make that team successful, it's going to be tough. So I hope Dalton, is able to go in there and provide a little bit of a spark because they definitely need it. I think, you're looking beyond week 3 right now, and the outlook for the Panthers team is not good. Yeah.
And I think like you want to see Dalton make, you want to see him get more out of Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, solid, and Xavier Leggett. Like if those guys play better with Dalton on the field, then that's a good sign for Panthers fans because you're like, okay, we did get rid of a lot of dudes, but maybe Xavier's going to be good. Maybe Deontay's going to help us. So you do want to see that. And just to go back to the size thing, because I see so many people commenting on the 3 small quarterbacks who are good. Drew Brees, yes, he was 6 foot tall. Bryce is 5'10", maybe 5'11". Good day.
No,
tiny bit taller. But you're pointing to like the and you're using Doug Flutie in there too. And Doug Flutie, I wouldn't even use that as a solid example of having a ton of success as a shorter quarterback. It's right now Kyler's doing it. It's Russell Wilson, Drew Brees maybe at 6 foot. It's not to say that he can't succeed. It's just a lot harder to do so.
But you also, like, with the height disadvantage, which is a thing, you have to have skills that other players. Drew Brees' accuracy, what is completion percentage, like 70% or some ridiculous thing, right? Is insane. Kyler Murray, the mobility is wild. Russell Wilson, what made him so successful, won that Super Bowl, not only the great defense, but also the mobility and be able to extend the play.
Yeah.
Right now, Bryce Young don't got that. We're comparing Bryce Young and Kyler Murray in terms of we're doing the stupid height thing. Like, obviously experience, but he also has a litany of other skills and talents and weapons to be able to do what he can do.
Flutie Flakes. And I believe money from Flutie Flakes raised money for autism. So
hey, there you go.
I love Doug Flutie.
Hell yeah.
But nobody's like Doug Flutie, Hall of Fame quarterback.
Well, I think it's also this. McPain, I appreciate you bringing this up. Look at Malik Willis, right? I'm not going to sit here and gas it up like, oh my God, Malik Willis is now a Hall of Famer. Malik Willis didn't have over 100 passing yards in a game. He never threw a passing touchdown in an NFL game, and he did both of those things on Sunday. And he did it. He was with the Packers less than a month, right? But he had the support, and he shouted out LaFleur, and LaFleur gave him all his flowers afterwards and said they didn't ask him to do a whole lot. He threw the ball, 15 times? He was efficient, and that's all he had to do. And they catered the entire game plan with a strong running game. They had something like 52 carries with all the ball carriers.
I was writing that for power rankings. I was like, holy shit, they ran it over 50 times.
With everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, like Malik Willis ran a few times, but that was the game plan. And with Bryce Young, I think it's a lack of, they don't really have a plan for him. Yeah. And two, again, the lack of talent surrounding him. They don't have a running back they can give the ball to 30 times. They don't have a guy like, you know what, we can run it 52 times. They don't have that. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, look at Love, who got to learn. Love was not good in those first few years, just like Rodgers was not good in those preseason games early on as well. Like, yeah, there are QBs that need to sit. I am always for sitting QBs because I'm a Packers fan and I'm just looking at what's worked, and it's worked.
It's an individual choice for that specific quarterback. Some guys are ready to go in there and they're ready to go in there and fail and handle that part of it. Some guys who do go in there and fail, they're not mentally ready. You know, you look at somebody, I mean, just go back to John Elway, terrible rookie season. He was bad, but like, I think he was the type of guy who was going to be fine with that. I don't know. I would say Bryce Young, not the right type of guy to go in there and fail. Mm-hmm. And that's not a knock on Bryce. It's just like playing in the NFL is really hard. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress with that. And he might just be bad too. We don't know yet. Right now, the biggest like example for Bryce Young to look at in terms of, okay, it didn't work right now, but maybe it will be, or maybe it will, is with Sam Darnold in Minnesota. Sure. He's playing well right now. If that goes all season long, Sam came into the league super young. He should have stayed in college another year. He was like 21. He was, how old is he now? I feel like he's still 23. Sam Darnold is 26. He is 27. Damn. He has been in the league for how many years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is his 7th season. So he was right around 20 when he came in. Went to a bad situation, was not good, bounced around, and now he's getting a shot in a good situation, a good offense, a good coordinator, the right coach, right head coach. Wes Phillips, by the way, Wade Phillips' son over there in Minnesota. So, you know, sometimes, and I'm not even saying Sam Darnold's going to be like, you know, a 10-year guy from here on out, but he has that opportunity now. It's up to him. And I think about like, and this is a stupid thing to compare, right? But I think about when I played quarterback in 8th grade, okay? When I switched from running back to quarterback, but I was like, I was terrified to play it. I was very good at football, but when I tried to play that, I got in my own head about it. Sure. And I know it's not comparable, right? But I think about like that mental state I was in. I had like no confidence.
Sure.
I didn't have like the right people around me to be like, no, you just do this and you'll be fine. I think like once you get in your head about something, when you're trying to perform, and yes, I only can go back to 8th grade because my athletic career did not last that long.
It's where people.
But like, that's the thing. Like, you got to be confident out there to be an NFL quarterback. But you don't see that with Bryce.
You're also a young kid getting your ass kicked every single week because your offensive line is hot poo-poo garbage, right? And like, let's just call it what it is. Dave Tepper is a god-awful owner. Like, he sucks. He's not built that team well. He keeps firing head coaches. He's not high. No one wants to come to Carolina and play. And this is where you go from the fans, and it's so effing frustrating because not to compare him to Dan Snyder. But in terms of Washington, like, their fans felt helpless as well. Like, Washington wasn't a place that people wanted to go to play. And I think until, you know, things potentially change there, when you have an owner that is that involved, but also doesn't know what they're doing because they don't have a background in the game, it's going to be tough to win football games.
Very tough. And
like you saw, I don't know if you saw Bill Belichick breaking down the way that the Bears constructed their roster.
No.
Yeah, so they were like, well, you know, they didn't really construct their roster in a great way. Like, they got the receivers and stuff like that, but their interior offensive line is not great. And so
Sure.
because of that, like they're not going to be able to perform really well. And you look right now at the Bears, their defense is really good. Their defense is like the staple of that team. And we talked about this on Monday. But the problem is that they went very flashy. And Justin Fields, let's be very clear, because I see this going right now. They're like, oh, look, Justin Fields, 2-0. Look how great. The Steelers are 2-0 right now because of their defense. Let's just be very clear. However, Justin Fields is playing efficient football.
Yeah, he's not
lighting it up.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything crazy, but they're winning football games because they know what team they have, and they go, okay, this is how we can win. We can run the ball, and we have a really good defense. And the Bears, they are struggling because their offensive line is not good. Caleb is struggling. Their defense is really good. They have a defensive-minded head coach, but like, damn, they're going to go through struggles. The Panthers invested in their defense. They have a young defense, but they just have not gotten the same returns.
Yeah.
And
it's like, it's the exact opposite of what the Chargers did, right? And we did reference this on Monday because the Chargers have their quarterback. So they know, let's just build up our fucking O-line. Let's just give Herbert the greatest, strongest, magnum ES condom on earth in front of him to protect him all day long. And they did that.
Yeah.
They added Joe Alt to a line that already had Rashawn Slater, right?
Yep.
Everybody's like, oh God, you already got you. Now you have 2 elite tackles.
Yep.
Okay. The Bears
too soon,
took
but
one of the
good
Chargers' old ass receivers. He's not even playing. Yeah, they have one glaring hole, and that's the good news for Bears fans. It's like, okay, maybe if we just fix this offensive line, it's really going to help Caleb. But you're not going to be able to fix that until after the season. You don't just get magical fixes for offensive lines mid-season. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, this is, and people are going to think I'm crapping on the Bears just to crap on the Bears. I talked about this with Trubisky. I talked about this with Fields. When you talk about confidence in the ownership and in the front office to develop a quarterback, right now, that confidence isn't there because they have no track record of doing that. Jay Cutler's been their best quarterback and they traded for him. So I think Caleb Williams, I am not saying he's a bust. I think it's way too early. I'm not saying any of that crap. I'm saying when it comes to the construction of the team and the development of young QBs, the Panthers, they have failed at doing that. The Bears, we're only 2 weeks in, but just looking at Trubisky and also looking at Justin Fields, they have not done that. So I'm curious to see how both teams are going to rebound. I like the Bears' chances because at least they have a defense and a special teams they can hang their hat on.
Yeah.
You know, and if the blocking does get better or Caleb just like adjusts a little bit more and is able to adapt to the situation that he's in, maybe we're going to see why that investment in the offense is going to finally pay off, in which like they got the receivers, you know, they got all the flashy pieces, they got DeAndre Swift. It's just the offense can't really do much right now.
Yeah, they can't. They're not running the ball, and they suck when they try to run the ball. That's going to make it real hard for Caleb. It's going to make it super easy for defenses.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating because, like, for the player, dude, I feel awful for Bryce Young. Now, at the same time, like, guy's got to play better. The guy has to play better. That is his job, and he, you know, that could definitely be critiqued. Yeah. I think it's also really difficult walking into a place where it is pandemonium from the beginning. You don't have any consistency in coaches, and like the talent and support is just not there.
You keep your hands off my quarterback, buddy. Vestrux. Man, Arch Manning ain't coming out until 2026.
Yeah.
So you got to have the Panthers sucking for 2 more straight years. Okay?
Don't do that to Bryce. Don't send him to Cleveland either. Don't.
Yeah. Where's the one place you could send him where it would be worse?
Send him somewhere
Cleveland.
Nice. Send him somewhere
Cleveland.
Nice. Send him somewhere good.
Send him. But the thing is, like, we don't know if Dave Canales is a good head coach yet. And I think
2 weeks in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in. I think he made a dumbass decision by not getting Bryce Young reps in the preseason. That's, again, unforgivable. But I think you got to give him time to see if, like, he is the guy there.
Sure.
And if through the course of the season you see improvement, the Panthers offense starts getting better with Andy Dalton, then that gives you confidence he's the right guy. And you don't have to, like, move on from Bryce. You can have him sit there, have him learn from the coach that you hired, and late this season, maybe if when they're out of it, or next year, you give him the opportunity again.
I don't think they're going to give him the opportunity next year. I think unless he like comes back in and starts which I think again in this situation it's going to be really difficult to do. I think if the Panthers are in the spot, they're the number one spot, they're going to take a quarterback.
Well, if they're in the number one spot, I'm saying if they start winning games and their offense looks good this year, and you're understanding Dave Canales is a good head coach,
sure,
then you don't, and you could trade Bryce to somebody who wants it. You're like, fuck it, we're going to go with Andy Dalton again. We'll take whatever. But you have that guy. You have a guy who was a highly touted prospect.
Sure.
You don't have to move on from him.
Sure.
If you know you have a good coach, then why don't you keep the guy that you drafted? Unless, again, 100% you know he is not the guy, and nor will he ever be the guy, then you move on from him.
Well, that's my question too. Okay, so how many games does Dave Canales lose, and then Tepper goes, okay, you're gone?
Well, yeah. I mean, we can't account for Tepper. We can't account for the Tepper effect.
You know? Like, again, like that's where my mindset is. And here, Western, again, if we're going back to Washington and just using them as a staple, because I'm just using that in the sense of just bad ownership, right? And bad decisions. RG3 gets drafted, right? Highly touted prospect. God, it was so much fun watching him that first year. And then catastrophic injury, never really the same afterwards. The 1 year they were good was when they didn't have a winning record and the entire NFC East was so effing bad. And like they made the playoffs with a good defense, right? Yeah. Like they built it because they had like Chase Young, they had Sweat, they had these like prospects that were really good. And I mean, that's, I think, what Carolina needs to do. They tried to do that a few years ago and they really invested in the draft. They went like all defense, all that great stuff. But again, it's also, they can't keep players, right? Like that's an issue too. And they're not even getting the original investment back in on when they're trading those players.
Yeah. You got
CMC, Brian Burt, like they're not getting it back.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to it's not being handled well. If you could build up a good defense and build up a good O-line, which they got Sticky Icky, but he regressed last year. I hope that he does better. Like they'll be able to do better, but you also need a quarterback in there that's going to mask a lot of those flaws. And that's why I'm really curious to see if a veteran like Dalton can do that. If he can mask.
And you mentioned Washington, like that was Mike Shanahan, proven head coach.
Yep.
That was Kyle Shanahan on the roster. Sean McVay was on the roster.
Matt LaFleur was there. Like Washington had all the coaches.
Imagine if Dan Snyder was patient. Like, okay, let's let these guys build the freaking team. Let's build cohesiveness.
Mm-hmm.
No, stupid. Brought in Jay Gruden. Nice move, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Perna, you got me. LOL, both y'all. Let's make a deal. If they beat Dolphins and then on Monday Night Football beat Detroit in Detroit, then I ask for double props for my team.
The Seahawks should beat the Dolphins. They don't have Tua. They have there's Skylar Thompson right now. And I mentioned this before in predictions today. Like Tyler Huntley, I love that in Miami. I think Tyler Huntley is going to be able to do well there. If they beat Detroit, then we have a conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But they're in the
what sucks, I think if Bryce Young too was a rookie this year, right? And he wasn't the first guy taken, he would be okay struggling right now because none of the rookie quarterbacks are playing well.
Yeah.
Jayden Daniels is playing the most fine, the most okay.
Yeah.
And he would have been hidden in that mix of Bo Nix underperforming, Caleb underperforming, having a bad line, Jayden be like, he would have been camouflaged a little bit. But since it's his second year, since he's playing worse than those guys, then that's also why it looks so bad for Carolina.
Correct. Well, that gets
CJ Stroud's awesome. That really hurts.
Well, yeah, that's a well.
And I don't even know if Anthony Richardson's good, but he made the most insane throw week one.
He did.
He threw 3 picks against you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that one throw is going to buy him a little extra time. The fact that he is a monster when he carries the ball is going to buy him some time.
And he's pretty much a rookie.
Steve McNair murder documentary yesterday, and they're showing highlights of Steve running the ball, and they had Jeff Fisher talking about how defensive backs stood no chance against this man. He would just go, he would stiff arm him, he would bulldoze him, and they're just cutting to shot after shot of McNair dropping his shoulder. I was like, oh yeah, that shit is cool. And I was like, all that talk about protecting Anthony Richardson, I'm like, fuck it. Let that guy drop his shoulder and just pulverize defensive backs. Like, I want to see that. And when you have that stature to do it, as long as you can stay healthy, it's cool. But McNair, watching some of those old highlights, I was like,
Yeah.
I forgot of what like a stout freaking beast he was with the ball in his hand.
Yup. And well, yes, that's exactly right. Right. It's not about winning and being like, oh, let's have a great record. It's what is the problem here? And that, Perna, you're getting into that conversation because Anthony Richardson, I'm basically treating as a rookie because we've seen him in what?
Yeah, exactly.
4 games. You know what I mean? Like 100%. It really hasn't been anything. The rookie QBs overall, they're not playing well.
No.
And this is the norm. Yeah. And what I mean, again, CJ Stroud, not the norm, exception to the rule. Joe Burrow, before he got hurt in that first year, he was just that freaking good. You don't really see.
Well, that year's also an outlier too, because it was Burrow, it was Herbert, and it was Tua.
Yeah.
That's 3 good quarterbacks, no matter how you shake it. Was that the 2020 draft?
Yeah.
Was that Jordan Love draft too?
Jordan Love draft, yeah.
And Jalen Hurts draft?
Yes.
That's fucking insane.
Yes.
Like, we started to expect that many good quarterbacks to come out of the same draft.
Which never happens.
It never happens. Our expectations got skewed, which is the point I think you were trying to make before I interrupted you.
No, you're good. Yes, it's, again, we're at the point where I use it as for wide receivers all the time, right? Justin Jefferson came in and absolutely destroyed expectations. You look at tight ends, right? Yeah. Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta have excellent years. Tight ends usually suck coming out of college, right? TJ Hawkinson, it took him a little bit to get things going, right? And then he got a big deal. He's in Minnesota now. Like, we're waiting, but...
And we haven't even talked about that with Darnold. Once Hawkinson comes back, that offense should be better.
But that's also, they're missing Jordan Addison. Justin Jefferson's out there. That's why you got to give the Vikings props, because they're able to do... But they're, again, I think KOC is a good coach.
Yeah, great.
And because of that, he's putting in Sam Darnold in great situations, and he has great support. They've upgraded the offensive line over the years. Brian Flores has made that defense so much better. They have a run game. I like Ty Chandler a lot. They brought in Aaron Jones, and they have receivers to throw the ball to. Yeah. So, this is a whole different situation.
Brock Bowers is bucking the trend for tight ends, sure. But
yeah, right.
It's... I literally started to write an episode about the quarterbacks.
Bernie got a fitty.
All the young QBs suck. Oh, a fitty. Let's see here.
Dude, if Bryce Young does leave that team.
Perna raid. Who the fuck is Perna?
Thank you, Cool Blue.
I think it's going to be like one of my favorite moments on the internet in the past year or so. It's pretty great.
Good.
Pretty great. Sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, I was saying, like, I'm waiting one more week. If we get a third week of bad rookie quarterback play, like, I started to write like the script for it, and it's 2022 draft. Only good quarterback from that one so far. What? Brock Purdy. 2023 is a little weird because CJ Stroud was so good. 2021, Trevor Lawrence, and all the other quarterbacks, different teams, right? So this is much more normal. But if you go back to like what, 2019, 2017, when you're getting Mahomes coming out of a draft, Deshaun Watson, who was good, and then you had like the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in the same draft, like. We're like, oh, maybe college quarterbacks are more ready, and the NFL's adapted to how they play young guys who are athletically skilled. They don't force them to be pocket passers until they're ready to be those types of guys. They let them do those things. Now we're getting back to the norm. I think you're 100% spot on with that.
Yeah. I agree with that.
A curse wheel, a Riz wheel? I don't think so. Maybe a Jizz wheel. Because who is the king? Me.
It's you, buddy. It's you. Lucas Patrick, former Green Bay Packer, too. I remember Lucas Patrick. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. No, the O-line, the coaching is that it's again, the Bears have a lot of expectations. The Panthers going into the season, I don't think there were expectations. It was okay, is Bryce Young our guy? And now it's week 3. We still don't have an answer on that. And we're not going to get an answer anytime soon because they just benched him. Like that, it was the same thing 2 years ago, Justin Fields, not last year, 2 years ago, when they're like, is he our guy? Then the Bears are like, yup, he's our guy. Let's build around him. Let's trade those picks away to the Panthers. And then he wasn't the guy anymore.
There are 2 things I do want to talk about. I want to talk about Monday Night Football because we didn't get there yet.
Yes.
We haven't talked about it. But I got to thank Johnny Barks for bringing this to my attention.
I'm a Christian worship guy before games. I don't like getting too hyped up before games, so I like to keep it nice and simple. Nice. Doing my Christian worship playlist, and I'm good to go.
Okay. Now, real quick, as someone who was raised Catholic, went to church every single Sunday until I was 18 years old, they got some bangers. So I think it depends. They got some bangers. So I'm wondering which ones.
We need a music change for my man Bo Nix.
I think
he can love his God. He can be religious. He can be Christian. I'm not knocking that. Even though I disagree with all of it,
he's got the
he needs some better
and
music.
He's listening to "Roll Away the Stone." That song's a banger.
He needs better
It's
music.
a banger. They're rolling it away. They're rolling it. I'm just
It just
saying.
felt like it was good because that was the only music you got in church.
I'm just saying. Well, it depends, right? Because it depends on what he's
I don't know
listening
any
to.
quarterbacks who won Super Bowls listening to Christian worship music before the game, Tom.
Russell Wilson.
No, I don't even think Russ listened to it.
I mean, he could have.
I think maybe he
Tim
was
Tebow didn't win.
listening
He won a
to
playoff
Ciara,
game.
honestly.
Tim
But
Tebow won a playoff game.
I think we got to get Bo better music. And for all of the Bible thumpers out there telling me that's an L take, chill out. It's a
gotta be healthy
music
first.
take. I'm not coming for your religion.
Their interior, by the way.
I'm not coming for it.
Bakhtiari really wouldn't make sense
But
on
he's
the
got to
Bears.
get better music. He's got to get better music.
I'm just saying, there's some bangers. There's some
I
bangers.
don't think so.
I want to. He probably should have asked like which ones are you listening to, right? Because
And
I
you
don't
can
know.
have a Christian worship playlist if you want.
Like, right?
It just can't be your
I don't have
pregame
a-
stuff.
I'm just saying.
You want to calm down? Let's go some classical music.
Maybe
Give me
it's
some
all
fucking
are
Beethoven,
welcome.
some fucking Mozart.
Is all are welcome, right? All are welcome to pick them off. I'm just saying, intention matters, right? It depends which one he's doing. You know, if we can get some football like related ones. Honestly, I think he should be listening to Black Sabbath, but that's just me. That's just me personally. So, agreed, Zach. Agreed.
So somebody send me one Christian worship banger. Banger.
Banger.
Let me hear it. And maybe I'll change my opinion because I'm all about having new information presented to me and changing my opinion. I am that
Please.
evolved as a person. But right now,
Humble, too.
I can't support it because it
I
ain't
can't
working.
wait for thousands of people to send you Christian music. Send you here.
It's actually like my personal hell.
Yeah, like Friday,
If it
you'll be
was
like,
Christian
"Please
rock, I
stop.
wouldn't have said anything.
Please stop.
It was Creed, disguised Christian rock. I
Hello,
wouldn't have
my
said
friend,
anything.
we meet again. They're gonna send you Switchfoot.
Johnny Barks sent me this bullshit.
We were meant to live for so much more. Joy would have been it. Woo!
Yeah.
We lost ourselves. Ooh, that'd be Bryce Young with the Rams. Oh, he gets to go to a Sean McVay. That'd be so nice for him. Stenson Bennett could be his big brother. Or he's his dad. He's old enough. I mean, that's...
I actually remember watching you play as a child. Bryce, me, 96-year-old Stetson Bennett.
I remember.
Poser.
USA.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
USA.
God, things were simpler back then. You remember? I feel like Russell Wilson cringy Subway commercials happened like 20 years ago at this
Oh my
point.
God, we're
It
so
feels
far
like a
past that.
lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos are still paying him. He's just
Yeah.
for a different team now. But
And just keep in mind, guys, when you send me this music, there's a difference between Christian rock and Christian worship music. Okay?
oh yeah, we're not talking about Christian rock.
Yeah,
I'm talking
you
about
didn't
just
say
songs I've
Christian
heard.
rock. You said worship music.
Yeah. You gotta know, like, but I want to know, is he going through the seasons, right? Like when Lent is on, he's like, yo, I'm pulling up the Lent playlist. Like, let's go, boys. Like Easter, Rollaway Stone's gotta be number one there, right? Christmas. You know, I want to dive deeper in it. Let's get Bo Nix on the show.
Quarterbacks that says they listen to Christmas music before games.
I wish them nothing but personal.
They will be goated. They will be goated.
No, I was gonna say I hope they lose every game. Absolutely not.
that
Christmas
takes an
music is
insane
the most
person, and you gotta be an
overrated
insane
genre
person to
of
win in the
music
NFL.
ever.
Yeah.
Ever. It just, I get it, right? All I want for I hear it one time and I'm like, I'm good now. We're okay. No, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Hey,
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the Broncos being good.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it right now.
Yeah, that sounds like a problem I am happy to navigate.
I was doing the predictions and they're going against the Buccaneers this week, and I was like,
Who's playing the Bucks? The Broncos? No, it's another horrible game for us.
in Tampa too. It's not even like it's
No.
Cleveland's a cool city.
Bo's had rough defenses to start his career
There you go.
playing against.
You want to talk about the Monday night game?
Yes.
Okay, Kirk Cousins. Darnell Mooney has that one really nice one, does a somersault into the end zone. They don't do diddly squat. That was Bijan Robinson show for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that good of a show. It was like one nice run and then they get stalled.
Like it was Bijan, right? Saquon was running well, etc. Good God, what a collapse! And I think like this is, again, we're only 2 weeks in, but like there was some reminders of the Packers game in which like it still seems like there's just sloppy football being played, which makes sense because we're only 2 weeks into the season, right? And AJ Brown was out, we gotta give him that. But man, there is no excuse for that defense to allow that 70-yard touchdown drive. But I got to give a lot of props to Kirk Cousins for being able to do that because he shut a lot of people up. And the Falcons fans going into this game were like, oh, this is not great. And then the games happen. They're like, oh, this is really not great. Now you got a QB who could do that.
There's so much. Like, dude, I turned it off. I turned that game off after the Eagles converted that first down. Right at the 2-minute warning, right? So they hit the 2-minute warning. They come back. Eagles pick up the first down on the tush push. I'm like, this game's over. You know how stupid you have to be to lose this game? Brushed my teeth. I was like, I'm going to get into bed nice and early, watch something stupid on Netflix, open up Twitter, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? I was so mad that I missed it. I know of all people, you don't turn off the game. You don't turn it off. But I was like, there's no way. So I had my mind blown, obviously. And then I saw Saquon drop it, and I was like, oh man, I feel bad for Saquon. That's tough. Everybody's crucifying Saquon. They're crucifying Hurts. They're crucifying Sirianni for that play.
Maybe the defense for allowing a 70-yard touchdown drive.
And it was a good play call.
Yep.
He just didn't catch him. It was actually the right play call.
Oh, that was a
except for like
play call.
You run it, you run the clock. It's you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like in terms of, hey, we've got a play that we think can just end the game. It was the right play call.
Yeah.
Playing to win the game, not the right play call.
No, it legitimately was, hey, it was the right call. Saquon was open. He just dropped the ball. It's gonna happen.
You got to execute. And Saquon is a good player. You trust him in that situation. It reminded me of the Colts at the end of last season when Minshew misses. They throw it to Goodson, right? And the throw's a little off. Goodson can't catch it. We're like, why the fuck is Jonathan Taylor not in the game right now for Minshew to throw to? It was like exactly like that.
Yeah.
And the Colts lose there. But I watched the Manning cast, and the first half of that, it's
really good at getting.
They had Belichick.
Yes,
and I know you can't listen to it; you're streaming. But I watched the Manning cast week 1. The second week with Bill, he really got comfortable. I was like, "This is everything you want as a football fan to listen to." They're getting into some X's and O's stuff that's actually interesting because of the way they're presenting it. Bill's getting, he's like. Talking about, I think it was Saquon getting his ass lit up or getting his ass knocked down or whatever. I'm like, yeah, Bill's cutting loose. But that last drive, so I went and I had to rewatch. I was waiting for the NFL YouTube channel to post the drive. It wasn't there. Manningcast posted their reaction to the end of that game. And they were talking about something that I've wanted to see with Bo Nix and that's run like a hurry up offense, because the 2 times Bo's played well into the 2-minute before half and into the game against the Seahawks, when it was hurry up. And they had Matt Ryan on at this point, though. And Matt Ryan brought up a really good point where he's like, sometimes you play your best football in those 2-minute drills because you stop thinking about what's going on. You're going to your base plays that you know really well, and you're executing. And I'm like, I want to see that with Bo and the Broncos offense. Like, give us the easy plays, the 1 or 2 reads, and just throw there. And Kirk Cousins did it really well. And it makes sense with Cousins being in a new team, a new offense. They just go to the bare bones of what works on offense, and they won the game.
So
it was crazy.
Well, I think because the Falcons, there's still plenty of question marks about the Falcons and Kirk Cousins,
but that's a confidence builder that you go, okay.
Yes, it is.
Does this carry over?
Yeah, right. And that's what you got to hope. You got to hope that Kirk Cousins shows up as things go forward, and he gets further away from the injury, more reps, and gets more comfortable with the team, et cetera, et cetera. The Eagles, I don't think it's doom and gloom because they have the talent. The Eagles can afford to play sloppy football because they have so much talent on the field. They were able to play a sloppy game against the Packers because they had A.J. Brown. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have him for this game. I think that made a difference. I love Devontae Smith so much. Like, he's such a freaking good player. And I think that they have so much talent on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, they can afford to be sloppy. However, they were sloppy on Monday night, and Cousins took advantage of that, and they lost the game because of it. Like, that's where this is the NFL. Right? And like, that's why if you give teams opportunities, like, more often than not, they're going to take it. So, I mean, the Browns team offense is still not great.
Your quarterback's horrible.
Not great.
Yeah, but that was a nice collapse. That's made for a great finish.
Yes, it did, because it was a boring ass game.
It was so boring. The first half, especially. Like, thank God for the Manning cast. I was like, because
it wasn't worse than Sunday's game though, because Sunday's game was a whole nother level of pain. That just good God. I was explaining it to someone. I was like, hey, the good thing is, like, you saw the Bears playing really good defense, and like, that was interesting. But then they would get the ball back, and they were so effing boring and terrible on offense.
Yeah.
That it just made it worse. And I love it. I think Brandon Perna, I don't want to say started this, but started this season. You put out a video about the death of the passing league, right? When you talk about this last year and stuff. And it seems like this is what's starting to dominate the media this week as a talking point, because they're like, hey, defenses are playing, it's nothing new, but defenses are playing offense. Well, you're seeing a lot of behind the line of scrimmage, like just try to get those chunk plays, and that's it. And it makes for some boring ass offense. The thing is, when you have a good quarterback, they can make it look better. They can take those medium throws, like the intermittent deep shots. But when you have a young quarterback, maybe behind a bad offensive line or what have you, and you're just seeing dump off. You saw Russell Wilson, right? You see it with the Steelers constantly. You see it with the Bears now, the Panthers. It just makes for some rough offensive football.
Yeah, and it all goes to, it's the Fangio too high safety shell. It's just like, they're not going to give up any of the big plays. They're keeping their safeties back.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks don't have that option. And we saw guys like Mahomes, I think, was the master at just doing it. And Fangio showed you can slow down the Chiefs offense by taking that out of the game.
Yep.
And it's the offenses really haven't figured out how to exploit that defense.
Yeah.
Coupled with the fact that we do have a lot of young quarterbacks out there who are not playing great.
And they're not on great teams either.
There are teams that are winning with guys like Justin Fields getting 117 passing yards.
Malik Willis, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and what I mean by it's just the expectation now is, hey, like, you got a good run game where you're able to just control the clock. You have a good defense. You're going to be able to win more games than not.
Yeah.
Daniels,
Smart,
I'm excited
safe football.
for.
And the real problem with it is the rushing numbers aren't going up in correlation with that. They're basically, the rushing numbers are staying pretty similar. You're not getting like an explosion of rushing touchdowns or an explosion of 1,000-yard backs. Like, so offenses actually do feel more boring now because they are actually boring. It's not swapping 300-yard passers for a bunch of 200-yard rushers.
Yes,
Dude, yeah, if we've got to ease Bo Nix into real music, then that's fine.
give him some Black Sabbath. I'm telling you, it'll.
Yeah. If
I'll
he's
give him
got
the
to go
play.
from Christian worship to Christian rock to rock disguised as Christian rock disguised as rock to actual rock, fine. And I get like wanting something calming. I'm just saying he's picking the wrong thing to calm him.
Oh man, like go with some Moonlight Sonata. You know, like get you in the zone there. I like the classical music.
Yes.
Right. Make Perna listen to
No, I'm
Christian
not
rock.
listening to no.
Oh my!
Is there
anything-
Christian rap out there?
Christian rap? That is a genre. It is a genre. Skillet and POD. Oh my god. Oh my god, I love it. But yeah, Thursday Night Football. You got the Patriots taking on the Jets. Should be a defensive game. I think maybe offensive to the eyes, but I think that this is going to be the Patriots, man. You know, they've been playing good defensive football. They run the ball well. I think it was good that Rodgers got that win over the Titans. You know, that was a very, very close game. Will Levis doing Will Levis things. I haven't had a chance to play yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Who do you think's winning this game? It is being played in Jersey.
In where? Jersey?
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's not too far for the Jets to travel.
Worship music though. I feel like it's different, you know.
I want to say I think the Jets will win, but I'm going to go Patriots.
Oh yeah.
You know,
On
Jacoby
Eagles win.
Brissett.
Solid.
He's playing that smart, efficient football.
Sure.
Antonio Gibson had a nice game for the Pats. So now they got Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson. Hunter Henry played well. Jalen Polk got his first touchdown. Patriots defense been solid.
Yeah.
They lose to Seattle in overtime. Okay, you know, it's close. It's close. They lose there, but I'm gonna go with the Patriots upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see it. Well, I mean, Stevenson, they can run on that Jets defense. No, Hassan Reddick. Okay. Someone brought up Trey Lance before, and like the 49ers moving on from him, and they got some flack for it, but it worked out. If they don't win a Super Bowl, then we'll be talking about the 49ers, but we just got to wait and see how that's going to pan out. In terms of the Jets, they won against the Titans. They got their ass kicked by the 49ers. Patriots game I think is going to be close. And I think Rodgers will get more comfortable and start spreading the ball out more, and you know, they'll kind of get it going. But Hassan Reddick, like that whole situation is a disaster. Like that's a mess, dude. Like that is not, and it's adding on to the more and more that the pass rush is non-existent and the run defense is not good. It's not gonna get better.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how they are going to try and fix that, because if they actually want to make a deep run, they need to have a good run defense. They need to have a pass rush. Their secondary is great. You know, Sauce Gardner, I see a lot of people talking about him holding all the time, and I was just like, oh, Perna's going to love that. Because I think it was last week, he was all over him on the Titans. So.
Yeah, I mean, and Bryce Huff isn't playing like great for Philly right now. So the Jets, if they would have had that deal worked out with Reddick and he was playing well, they would look like the smart team. They would look like the smart team, and they still look dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna need to figure it out. And I respect Reddick. Like, sorry, ain't doing it.
Yeah,
800,000 a game. Don't care. Don't care. Aaron Rodgers is here. It's in his window. Don't care.
I think, yeah. Again, I think the Jets have the potential still. They got to figure it out though. They got to figure it out, man. Like the defenses has to be better.
Yeah.
Because that's supposed to be their strong suit. And again, the running defense, rushing defense was not great last year, but Trans-Siberian Orchestra is very good. I completely agree with that. That is probably the best Christmas music. I agree.
Hold on.
Ooh, Russell Wilson listening to 70s soul and funk. Oh, hell yeah. All right.
See, that's cool. Somebody
like
said Ray Lewis listened to gospel music, and my
that's
immediate thought was
different,
like,
though.
gospel's way better than Christian worship music.
Well, I mean, he's listening to gospel because he's also probably praying for the
He's
people.
praying
that
to
are about
not
be
go
in
to jail
the
for
field. Yeah.
murder, accessory to murder.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I mean, Falcons were good enough to beat the Eagles.
Somebody said
Only gotta be good
Kirk
for 2 minutes
Cousins-
sometimes.
Kurt had an entire birthday playlist, if you recall. Oops, wrong. Let me bring it up here. Kirk Cousins' birthday playlist. He does like
Yes,
Creed,
he does. That's fair, Tim.
but Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Eat World, the All American Rejects, Green Day, Blink 182's in there, the Killers,
Oh my God.
Maroon
Good
5. I don't know what the
Charlotte.
fuck they're doing in there.
Good
but Kirk
Charlotte.
Kirk Cousins is like 16-year-old me listening to
Yeah, 100%. I was like, yeah, this just looks like 2000s, like late 90s. Just
Yeah.
no.
There's Kirk's playlist. He likes
Yes, Bacon. Yes.
He likes pop punk and garage rock.
Can we also talk about how every single one of these songs was overplayed?
Oh yeah.
Every single
Kirk just likes the hits.
Yeah, the middle overplayed, right? I could not listen to any more All American Rejects because oh my God, what's that song?
Were they swing from the jungle side of my heart?
Oh my God, hold on. No, what is that song? Because tonight will be the night that I was that yeah, I'll fall for you. That's them, right?
I don't know. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they were swing.
Sorry,
They were swing.
Swing. God, yeah, no, I can't. I wouldn't. This is old, yeah, like teenager me. But
Yeah.
it's true, bees. It's true. I agree though, Bacon, where you said TJ Watt versus Joe Alt is gonna be so much fun. Oh, it's probably not gonna be a great game, but a defensive battle. We'll see how good the Chargers defense is. Justin Herbert's probably gonna have to throw the ball more.
This is for Ghost Rider. You can suck it, Ghost Rider. Yeah, Watt and Alt. I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Shout out to the readers. We're talking about for the AP exam, the Regents. I just want to.
Huh? Stacy's mom. Forgot about that song.
Stacy's mom. It's got it going on.
Stacy's
Got it going on.
mom has got it going
Hey, Saints, I know you're putting out your power rankings today, right? Saints are on
Yeah.
it. The Saints are on mine.
Do you think the Saints will hold their number one spot?
I don't know who that is.
Cacao. Cow.
I don't know who that is.
Collectible card with handwriting from Cow. Is this a cool guy?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I've never not known something so much in my whole life. No clue what that means.
Raiders get respect for beating. Listen, I'm gonna be very clear. The reason the Chargers are in the top 10 and not the Raiders is because the Chargers beat the Raiders.
Yeah. To be fair, Tom's been very complimentary of the Raiders.
I love their
offseason.
defense. I love their defense.
I've been the one shitting on them.
Love their defense. Their offense, though, they're not committing to the run game. You know, the run game is where I had concerns. Lauby, I thought could be like solid. We'll see. That with Zamir White, there's not.
Yeah, there was the stat about like Josh Jacobs with the Packers, and they have the number one rush team right now, I believe, and the Raiders, I think, are like dead last in rushing yards, or close to it.
Hell yeah, bro.
Are you at all concerned about Josh Jacobs' fumbles?
It's not my favorite. I think the problem right now is depth because Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie, just went on IR. We don't have AJ Dillon already for the year. So now it's like Emmanuel Wilson. We just signed somebody too. But like, I think that's where I have the concern. But giving it to him 30 times, I mean, and he fumbled once. It wasn't a good fumble, don't get me wrong. But it was also a nice play by the defense.
Sure.
So
Yeah, it's out of character for him. I think he's gotten him out of the way. I don't think he'll fumble for a long time. That's my prediction. Anyway.
Yeah.
That was my one real question for you today.
wait a minute. Hold on. I thought you were talking the greatness of Christian Gonzalez. I thought you were talking about the NFL. I was like, you mean like Coco? Like you're talking about like ancient China?
Ancient Chinese secret, huh?
Like you're talking about like Han Dynasty? That what? That's what I'm talking about. I was like,
Yeah, you can't give us those kinds of curveballs,
I don't
guys.
know. I don't know what's going on. All right, Parra, what do you got coming out today? You just got power rankings.
Power rankings. Yeah.
All right, I put out finally Packers post game. I literally had time last night to finally sit down and talk about the game. That came out this morning. Predictions are coming out later. Yeah, I don't think we're going to hit 700K today. It's going to happen tomorrow. I think it's going to happen tomorrow.
Nice.
Appreciate you, Lazy. Appreciate you.
If I hit it today before you, it's going to be the greatest upset of all time.
It's true. It'll be the new 28-3.
If I get 67,000 subs today, you are going to be pissed.
Yeah, because I'm thinking the Packers postgame is going to probably bomb. I don't think that's going to do too well because it came out 3 days late.
Yeah, that's late.
It's a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it's sucking. Yeah, I mean, it's
late.
Possible. Maybe I'll try to hype it up later and we can hit it. We'll either hit it tonight or tomorrow. So we'll stream either way.
Nothing's stopping you. You're a freight train.
We're going, baby. Check out Chaotic Good Sports. Had a great interview with Brandon Bostic last night. Really, really enjoyed having him on. It was super cool. But, folks, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on Friday for GPS. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. This is GPS. And you have been navigated.
On the other reach, you will. All right, check out.